Welcome. Good afternoon at the time I am recording this. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. I hope the day has been good to everyone. Um, if you are new and poke around and find that this channel is not for you, I get it. I talk about some pretty heavy stuff. I appreciate you checking it out all the same. If you've been brave enough to stick this out with me and are coming back, you already know what it is. You guys are my peoples. I thank you for allowing me to put my diary out here and work through a lot of things at the same time. I'm not sure how long this is going to be. We will figure it out together at the end. So I appreciate you sticking around. Today we're going to talk about how peace is never easy. I think that is something that we can all agree on. Think about, what are you peaceful about in your own life and the road leading up to and the road leading afterwards. Um, I bet you if you talk to most people, we can all agree that it was not easy. I think one of the hardest things for people to hear, and because of it, I've been so afraid to say, is the peace that I feel in the decision that I made. I think one of the main things God is calling me to speak on, if you've been following along, is just how incredibly hard it was to get there. It was not easy, and I don't think it ever is, no matter the journey. That it's probably messy, confusing, and downright terrifying at times. It can be the loneliest road you ever go down. It may not look like the road you had planned for yourself, and it may not look it may completely look different than what others have had planned for you, which is hard if you're not quite sure what the road looks like yourself or what lies ahead of it. And in the midst of it all, we almost beg for confirmations. Just something, anything to let you know that this road you have chosen is right. And then they come, and somehow you're on the other side and you're okay with everything that it took to get there. That I do not know how I can stand with such conviction in the fact that I can say that I am okay, that this was the plan, maybe not mine, and that I know everything is going to be just fine. When I think about peace, I can't help but to think about faith. Because whether you believe in God or not, that voice or that feeling is in all of us. And it takes an enormous amount of faith to not just listen, but follow it. I think what it just comes down to is God wants us to know how incredibly important it is to learn how to listen to it and to learn how to follow it, no matter what you believe, and that you have to stick with it. Because if you're anything like me, you get to the other side and you're at peace, sitting on this big old mountain of peace and faith, and you're feeling all brand new. And you just think, we went through this whole journey, Lord. It's easy sailing from here, right? Maybe for some, but I did not fly. I fell. I know I have not shown my face, but I can assure you I'm not a bird. I do not have wings. And he just brought me back up. It was just as scary, but I was new. I realized the only thing different really was me. And figuring that out has been a journey in itself. Back when I first found out I was pregnant, I kind of put myself in like this safe little bubble. The more pregnant I got, the less I stopped leaving the house. I think a lot of it was because in those months I fought the decision. I got a good glimpse of the things people would think about it from some of the people that were close to me. And it made me think, well, if they think that, what are people who don't even know me going to think? So by the time I really started to show, I was really just going to work and home. It was enough energy to go to work and pretend that I had my shit together. I mean, I would go out real quick to gas stations and such, but then it was just really avoiding people I knew outside of my bubble. That's when the feelings of people knew what I was thinking and what I was going to do crept in. I knew it was crazy, and there's no way that they could know, but I sure felt like it was written all over my face, and I felt guilty. Um, I think it is important to let people know that this was not why me and my family stopped talking. And a part of me, I guess this is another reason why I am a little nervous to show my face because I do want to talk about growing up and getting there eventually. Um, so I want to feel comfortable to talk about it. And it's not to bash, it's just, it's a part of the experience, it's a part of my journey. Um, but this wasn't what made us stop talking. We were very much estranged when I got pregnant, and because of other things, we became more and more. Uh, it was pretty much when my dad reacted the way he did is when it all stopped. Um, Selfishly, it does suck because I've been there. Um, I just I just think had it not been for those reasons that I think is selfish, they would have been there. And I think that's the best way I can put it. As dysfunctional as we were, most of us we were always there for each other. And at that time I would have given anything for that. But it's all about the path. And I'm at peace with it right now. I hope it doesn't always last forever, but as of right now I'm at peace with it. The day I got home from the hospital, we had not signed the final papers yet. I got word that a lot of those people that were not around anymore were not happy with not at least being able to come up and say goodbye. It was just the same for me. I felt, I was not going to be the one holding him or seeing him, bonding with him. He needed to do that with his parents in those first days. I just felt like there was no need to put him through that. I cannot tell you why I felt this way. I can only say that that voice, God was telling me that I was not wrong. I feel like I got that confirmation when I did go by and see him, and he heard me and he reacted and he fell into her. That he knew who his mom was. I feel like I was beginning to see the bond, and I needed that. I was at peace with it. The best way I can explain my open adoption is that we are very much in the shadows right now. That everything in me tells me he does not need me right now. I don't know if that is because I have kids and I feel the same way about them when they were young. They needed us, their parents. The rest will come. And I have so much faith in that. Uh, Even after hearing all of this and how people felt and knowing how, I knew I made the right decision. And we still signed the papers 2 days later. And I felt peace in ways I never knew I could. I remember my husband asked me how I was feeling the night I came home. And I just remember telling him how guilty I felt for feeling okay. Uh, it was about 2 days after signing the papers that I was feeling froggy and drove down to the gas station. I remember standing in line And this guy was standing in front of me, and he was just waiting his turn, kind of, turning side to side, swinging. And it was just like that. Like, I was no longer in that gas station. I was in this whole scenario of, oh my God, what if he turns around and asks, hey, hey, how are you? And then it led to this, oh, you're married. Do you got kids? How many? And I just started sweating. I was shaking. I feel like I did not know how to answer those small talk questions anymore. What do I say? That I have 2 kids or 3? And if I say 3, then I felt the need to explain. And when I thought about explaining it, I thought about everything bad that anybody has said to me so far. That was the last time I left my house completely. I mean, there were no more quick nowhere. It became hard to even go outside of my yard. My husband was doing all the running and the working. When he did not run, I would order and deliver online. Groceries, food, clothes, it didn't matter. It was not for a lack of trying. There would be times I would take a shower, do my makeup, get dressed, and like physically try to go out the door, and I just couldn't do it. We were in no place for me not to be leaving the house. We are not rich. We used up every single resource that was brought to us to keep things going. Um, but if we're being honest here, I did not feel like God was pushing me to do anything then. And instead, I felt like He brought whatever He could bring us and allowed me the time to work through it all. To again go through whatever I needed to go through. And I know how that sounds, but that's how I felt. And I had such a strong sense of it's going to be okay. Um, then, about 3 months after the adoption, I joined the birth mom community on Facebook. If you've been following along, I kind of talked about it a little bit. Um, even after everything, going through everything leading up to this moment, hearing the words unique and rare from just about everyone, agents, lawyers, doctors, people around me, it was really not until joining and telling a bit of my story that I felt the weight of those words and just how different I was. And let me tell you, I thought I was already lonely. I felt like I lost so much on this journey already. Uh, I didn't have anybody to really talk about it to. My husband and my best friend, really. My support system I thought I would always have was long gone by then. But when I got the reaction I did from the people I felt were automatically going to be accepting because they had been where I was, I cannot explain the depths of Lonely Island to you at this point. And in some ways, I am very much still there. Uh, and I'm still asking him what the plan with all of this is. But even then, I felt peace in the decision that I made. And I felt more peace in the way that I went about everything. I wanted so badly to shout, "You're all wrong. I understand, and it's all valid, but you're wrong about me." That I do not know how else to explain why I feel the way I feel other than that voice, everything in me that led me here. And I do believe it was God. That's when the silence became too loud. And I think my bubble became my prison. It's crazy because when I was pregnant, I needed the silence so bad. And everything was so loud. Now I hated it. I couldn't stand it if my kids took naps. I could not fall asleep. That was the worst time. I needed the loud to drown out the loud in my head. And it was like the weight of everything everyone told me up to that point came crashing down. Everything that they said I would think or feel, or what's normal or to be expected in the aftermath, and the fact that I did not feel any of those things. I felt peace, and that made me feel like a monster. Through the silence, it was like God was saying, okay, now I want you to go talk about it everywhere and anywhere you can. And I am just like thinking about my parents, the community, and I am just like, what in the actual Lord? No. And I did not. I didn't. No. I stopped talking about it completely after that. Like, after everything I learned, you still want me to go do that? And he did not stop bothering me about it. So I tried to modify it my way, private groups and whatnot. And he was like, nope, now you know that's not what I'm talking about. And you know it. So then I made the true crime community. I had always been in the backgrounds. You know, we were doing really, really great things, but you know, the parents and the families, they needed somewhere to come to speak, to get the attention, you know, these are cases you don't go online and Google. There's nothing. I went up and talked all right. Just not about me. I was a mess. I mean, the families, you know, they will argue otherwise. Like I said, their loved ones' cases has gotten much needed attention. And families are finding out things they've never known before. We're finding things out in real time. A few of them got much needed airtime on TV that they should have originally gotten from the beginning. So I cannot say it was a complete mess, but I can, and the people who know me clearly can see I had no idea who I was. I was so lost. But I very much knew why, and that I needed to be doing this before I did anything. So I've taken a long and extended break, and the families are very much waiting for me to come back. I hope that by finally listening to the big guy, that one day I can. But yeah, so don't ever sit out there and think I'm just over here listening without dragging my feet. I sure the heck am. And the Lord himself knows it, y'all. I did just about everything I could before coming up here. And we have been tussling. But do not think I didn't hear him, because I did. So during all that, I did not leave the house until about a little over a year later. The gas station happened June 2021, and I left July 2022. So no one that didn't need to know did not know what we just went through. We left it at he was coming home. During that time, I let my license expire. I was not going anywhere, anyways. I was not about to leave the house to go get a new one. And if anybody doesn't know, if you let it expire, at least in Ohio, if you let it expire for more than 6 months, you have to do the whole shebang all over again, driving test and all. So, and for me, that was a lot. We had been falling behind on rent a time or two, and we always paid it by the deadline, and we were okay. This time was no different, and they said that they would take it. Come the day of, they refused to take the money. We were devastated. By then, we had 10 days to get out and absolutely nowhere to go. I just remember bawling and feeling like a complete failure, that I just sat around and let all this happen, and that I'm still scared to walk out the door. I looked up at my husband and I said, I don't know how I can say this, babe, as we're packing our shit. But I just get this overwhelming feeling that it's going to be okay. And I don't know how or why I feel this way, but I do. And I thought that meant, well, we have all this money, we will find something quickly. Oh no. We used up everything in the money coming in the hotel looking for a place. And then When, staying started catching up with the money coming in, we had no choice but to enter into a homeless shelter. And the shame that I felt walking in there is something that only the people that have been there will understand. On top of going from being around no one to having to be around everyone and then being complete strangers. Oh, yeah, I spent a lot of time outside away from everyone for a while. We ended up being there for about 2.5 months, and it just came down to we could not find a place. It was incredibly difficult. I got a job, and we were working and did not have much to buy, so the money just piled, and we had no one to take it. It was crazy. And a lot of us were stuck there for that same reason. It was hard. I don't know. But in that time, I learned that I don't have to share everything with everyone. That just because I only say two doesn't mean I do not love my third. I also had this overwhelming feeling and sense that though it was taking so long, it was going to be okay. I mean, I told everybody, like, I'm sitting in a homeless shelter. How am I sitting here saying that everything is going to be okay and I'm at peace right now? How? It was crazy. But I felt it. Um, I felt a calmness. This was new to me. Uh, Here, literally everything was falling apart, but somehow I felt like it was falling together, and I had such faith in that. I had no evidence to back it up, just that voice and everything in me telling me that it would be. And then shortly after, we got a call for a little 2-bedroom apartment, and it felt like home. Uh, then about a month after that, we're living in this. We're here. We made it, and then my hubby and my youngest got into a four car pileup, and it totaled our car we had just gotten. And I was like, what the heck, Lord? But then again, I told myself it would be okay. And I started to slowly figure out how to jump back into a world that did not stop just because I did. I think that is the hardest thing. You go through something so traumatic and you look up and you're like, how did the world not stop? I did. So it's been a journey. I got my license back. We worked hard. And as many of you heard, we just bought our first house. It's a fixer-upper for sure. It's a mess, if we're being honest, but it's ours. And little by little, it'll come together. And we're excited for it. I think a lot of people out there are holding their breath, waiting for me to wake up one day like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I've thought a lot about that myself, and I just don't think it's ever going to come. And I'm at peace with it. I'm at peace with it in ways that I can only explain in the fact that I do not lie awake at night or spend my days wondering where he is, if he's being loved, if he's getting all the things that I could not give. Because I know in my heart he is. I know I got extremely lucky. And I thank God that I don't feel the way that so many others feel. I think about him every day, just not in the ways that I feared I would. His mother gave me a necklace with a seed in it that I'm finally having the courage to wear. I don't know what makes me stand here and be able to say everything that I did, every decision I made was right. And then I know it's going to be okay. The only thing I ever asked for after it all was peace, and that's exactly what he brought me. With every confirmation, I feel it. I'm at peace with it, and I have such faith in it. And I just don't think the world is ready to hear it. I think one of the things that happened, and I'll go deeper into this in my empath or survival mode video, is that growing up, I felt like none of the people that were supposed to protect me did. And in that, it created a strong sense of doing whatever it takes to protect mine. Uh, do I feel like I take it a little overboard in some areas and I need to learn how to relax? Yes, absolutely. The hard part in all of this is admitting that maybe that is all I did was protect them and what that could have meant. And I will never know. And I'm at peace with that. And I thank God for that. I don't know why God is calling me to share all of this with everyone. I still have so many questions. I do not have it all together over here, clearly. But one thing I do know is just because you are scared and you feel alone in that journey does not make it wrong. That is when you have to keep pushing through. That's when you got to keep pushing through the most, I feel. And as much as I would love for you to come back and say you found God on the other side of that, I will be just fine with you coming back and saying you found yourself. And that is all I have for you guys. I thank you if you're still here. Thank you for tuning in. Um, I thank you if you are still here. I hope that it came across well and you kind of understand a little bit of what I was trying to say. I guess that's always the hope. Um, like I said, I appreciate you being here and just sitting with me. And I hope you have a wonderful night. Like I always say, I'm bad at goodbyes, so I'm just going to cut it here.